Victoria City Council's decision to close Irving and Vic West parks to overnight sheltering in April is heading to court.
What the city is doing is not working and it's causing more harm.
In October, 3 unhoused people filed this petition for judicial review, calling the decision unreasonable, procedurally unfair, that it cannot be justified and fails to balance the charter rights of the people it affects.
More parks that were closed, more people found themselves on streets and sidewalks where it's absolutely illegal to shelter. And I think the city knows that.
Nobody wants to be here.
Scattered to the side streets was Shay Smith, one of the petitioners in this case. It was on one of those side streets where Shay died 2 weeks ago.
Decisions like this put people's lives at risk.
Seeking to quash the capital city's decision is litigator Alexander Kirby.
That lack of affordable housing means that often parks and other public spaces are the only places where it's possible to shelter. And when the city or any other government makes decisions that take that away without providing reasonable alternatives, then they put their lives at risk. And there's nothing abstract about that.
The case is built on a decision from 2009.
We're going to live with that.
When the BC Court of Appeal ruled in a case called Adams that the City of Victoria couldn't prevent people from sheltering in parks unless it could show that it had enough places indoors for them to go. 15 years later, Kirby says the city still hasn't proven there's enough housing.
It's effectively tantamount to the outright prohibition that Adams says was unconstitutional through, sort of a death by 1,000 cuts. There's no question and that nobody wants people to be sleeping in parks. That's not what parks are for. But given that we are in a situation where people have no other choice, the city is going to have to acknowledge that until it does provide people with enough places to be, its Board of Parks and Recreation is going to be in the business of housing, whether it likes it or not.
In the summer, after 60 shelter spaces opened up, the city used it as the basis to begin sweeps of Pandora. Nikki Ottoson, a volunteer outreach worker, says the city knows shelters aren't the answer.
They're dying at the hands of the city and its poor policies.
In November, City Council directed staff to report back on the status of sheltering in city parks and make recommendations for updates to its bylaws. That report is pending. The city says it cannot comment since the matter is before the courts. The petition will be heard in April.